All right, it's time to get techy.
Yeah, it sure is. So today we're gonna do a little roundup on everything that is new and hot in triathlon tech.
Right, so we're going to start off with running shoes, and we've spoken a lot here on the channel already about the Nike Zoom Vapourfly 4% and the excitement they've caused. Now, they come with a pretty hefty price tag, but that doesn't seem to have put people off.
No, it certainly doesn't, Mark. As a brand, Nike was actually the biggest mover in the Kona shoe count last year, and that in large effect was due to their new Nike 4%, which, believe it or not, they claim can improve your economy by 4%.
Yeah, now they have actually since gone on to update that shoe, going by the feedback from some of their elite athletes and runners, including the likes of the new marathon world record holder Ulid Kipchoge. Now, that shoe is called the Nike Zoom X Vapourfly Next Percent.
Mouthful.
Yeah, bit of a mouthful of that. And that adds a little extra traction to the shoe, a lesser heel offset, a nice fancy bright upper, more foam for cushioning, amongst other tweaks.
Yeah, but the real technology actually comes in the carbon plate that is in the sole. Now, many speculated that this is actually some type of a spring effect, but moreover, what Nike say it does is to improve your ankle mechanics by stabilizing that joint and taking the load away from your calf. And at the same time, what it's also doing is allowing your toes to stay nice and straight on that carbon plate, which in effect takes away, or preserves rather, the energy that you would rather have been spending to flex your toes.
Yeah, now that makes a lot of sense, I guess. And actually, they weren't the first to do this, but you could argue that, well, maybe they're the best to do it, or at least have made the biggest impact. But they are now joined to the party by Hoka One One with their new Carbon X shoe.
Now, we have actually just nabbed these from a very good friend of the channel, professional triathlete Susie Cheetham. So thank you very much for these, Susie. They actually have only just come out onto the market a day or so ago, so absolutely hot off the press gear that we've got in our hands here. But the technology-wise, there's some similarities to the carbon plate that we were just talking about. They've got their Meta-Roca technology, which you can see in the sole of this shoe. They've got a much wider 4-foot platform here to just improve stability as you run. And all of this is for an astoundingly light 240 grams, which is pretty mad, isn't it? Right then, so now we will move on to some gadgets and electronics, and we'll start off with optical heart rate in the back of watches, because these are becoming more and more popular these days, which is great for ease and comfort, but as a lot of people do tend to report, they're not always the best in accuracy, shall we say, but that is definitely improving.
Yeah, now, a lot of people do say that the chest straps are a little bit more accurate, but personally speaking, I'm not actually the biggest fan of them. Now, I know I'm probably a bit strange here, but I just don't like having something around my chest when I'm trying to breathe hard, and they can sometimes rub. But I have found myself a solution because I've been really enjoying using the OH1 from Polar, which I've got on here around my arm. So you can attach these around your arm, around your leg, and other brands are actually doing very similar products. And this also works. If I flip this over, you can see this is optical heart rate measurement. And yeah, it just works a lot better because of its location and its firmness on the skin.
Yeah, now this is where these are coming into their own, particularly for guys, and in the water is their forte, because as Mark says, the chest strap is not the best when you're swimming. Usually it just slips off. It's something I never ever tried to do because it's just far too awkward to manage. But this new OH1 Plus, well, that's where it is exciting, because you can clip that sensor off of the mount there that Mark did have on his arm. You can pop it on your goggles. Off you go, swimming with heart rate.
Now, if you like your data and you like your swimming, we have Phlex for you. Now, sadly, we don't actually have the device here today to run you through, but we do have one coming very soon.
Yeah, now, the Phlex is an extremely smart swim data tracking device. And we were very fortunate recently to be shown the Phlex by current Olympic silver medalist and Commonwealth Games champ, Jazz Carling. Now, the Phlex is soon to be released, well, any day now, to be fair. But what it does is it attaches onto our goggles close to our temple so it can track our heart rate, and it will buzz in the water to tell us what training heart zone we're in. And for the coaches on pool deck, they can see a sort of traffic light system on the side of the Phlex, which kind of goes from green, amber into red, depending on how you're working.
Yeah, but the bit that really absolutely blows my mind is actually the post-session analysis. Now, Jazz very kindly ran us through her own Phlex app and showed us the sessions that she'd been doing. And well, yeah, it was incredible because she hasn't actually told the app what she had planned on doing or what she'd done after, but it had worked out what her warm-up was, what her main set was, what her prep set was, what her warm down was, how many reps she'd done, how far in those reps, the times for those reps, even what stroke she was doing. It was absolutely incredible.
Absolutely. I mean, I think we were both quite spellbound by what the Phlex was able to tell. So yeah, absolutely incredible. And the guys behind this are from a really high level swimming background, not to mention some technology guys who are extremely clever behind the scenes as well. So we're most certainly looking forward to giving it a go. Now, another thing that we have really been enjoying getting stuck into of late is power for running. Now, there have been a couple of devices kicking around for the last couple of years, not to mention this one here from Stride. Now, you attach them to your laces and then it pings the power data back to your watch.
Yeah, now actually our channel partner has not long since released their Polar Vantage V, which actually has inbuilt power measurement, so you don't need an additional foot pod like the Stride. Now, I've actually been using both in my own training, so I've been analyzing some of those numbers that they've been chucking out and then actually pretty much bang on with each other. And given how much I've used power in cycling before and how popular power has been in cycling, I can see this being pretty exciting.
What else is hot, I hear you say? Well, let me talk to you about Cervelo, because just a couple of months ago, they launched not only their P3X, but their P5 disc bikes as well. Now, the P3X is a new version of the P5X with a lower grade group set attached. It does come with some modifications, having learnt from its older brother, but significantly, it is lighter too.
Yeah, now if that's not your cup of tea, then we also have the P5 disc, as Fraser mentioned, which is hot in my opinion. Now, it's 7 years since the release of the P5 and they have totally changed up the design and included hydraulic disc brakes, all while still conforming with UCI regulations and being faster, stiffer, and lighter. Now, it comes in two different configurations or setups that you can go for. You've got the naked TT rig, which is obviously UCI legal without any food storage options, and then obviously the TT rig, where we've got things like the bento box, rear hydration. It all looks very nice. It gets a big thumbs up from me.
Next up is SRAM Axis, and well, if you've missed this, I'm not really sure where you have been. What we're talking about is SRAM's new wireless red ETAP Axis Road group set, which was released a couple of months ago, but it's got 12 gears. It's also available in a 1x or a 2x group set, and just to keep you guessing, they've even changed the shape of the chain as well, so they are totally mixing things up. Now, the idea of this extra sprocket in the cassette isn't just to give us an extra gear option, but it's also to effectively make the gear changing smoother and have less of a jump.
Yeah, and because of this extra cog, they have completely changed the gear ratios. So for instance, rather than riding a 53-39 chainring setup with an 11-25, you now ride a 50-37 chainring setup with a 10-26 cassette.
Oh.
Yeah, very different. And because of these extra cogs, they've obviously had to make the chain slightly thinner to allow it to fit. And with that, they've had to make it stronger. So they've gone for a new material, which they've called hard chrome. And to make it strong enough, they've put material along the top, which now makes it flat. So all in all, it does look very cool, doesn't it?
Oh, it does. I think I can't wait to try it.
Well, we should probably stop there because I could keep talking about tech all day long.
Yeah, you could, Mark. But if you have spotted any hot or new tech, please drop it down there in the comment section below and let us know. Hopefully you've enjoyed our video today. Please hit that thumb up like button. Find the globe on screen, click that, get all the other videos on our channel. And if you want to see a video I did about the tech at Oceanside Expo, well, you can find that here.
Yeah, if you'd like to find out a little bit more about running with power, as we mentioned earlier in this video, you can see that by clicking just down here.